Hi everyone, this is Nu-Trix the Synth Guy, and today it's the day after Christmas. It is one of the best week of the year to look back and appreciate all the tools that we have today to make music. So I'm going to take a little moment now and I'm going to show you my top app for music production on the iPad today. So here we go. The best apps for making music in 2017. It doesn't mean they were released in 2017. It means that today, in this year, these are the apps I've used and that I enjoyed making music with. And I split it into different categories. The first one would be DAWs. So this is a workstation where you can do the whole thing, recording, creating, mixing, editing, you do the whole production. So I'm going to talk about those. Then I'm going to talk about what I call beat makers, where they're more than drum machines, they're more than a synthesizers, but they can't usually record. So they're kind of a limited in-box creation tool. Sometimes I can see them as sketchpad for ideas or getting inspired rapidly. And then when it's done, you have to move it into a DAW so you can really finish the songs. But most time this is kind of limited in the finishing aspect of things, but it's more than enough for, you know, first ideas creation, and sometimes good enough for a lot of creation for music. The other category would be synthesizers. Then you would have drum machine, and finally tools, utilities, and other stuff that are not so sexy to have, but you need them to be able to make good music. So let's start right away. My favorite DAW for the iPad is Gadget. So I go into Gadget. Gadget is one of the best DAW you can find today on the market for iPad. I can load a new song, you can have all these different modules, and then there's some of them I don't have, but you know, you've got a bunch of them. And what's cool about it is, one, they sound good, and two, they're powerful enough that you can actually create your own sounds. Like if you look at those that comes with it, you know, you've got stuff like this one, and you can actually, you know, go in and modify the sound enough. So there's enough function synthesis-wise to create your own sounds, and there's enough choices of different type of modules that you can really create what you want. It goes from really, let's say, electronic to very spacey, to old school arcade sounds, to very analog. You know, some of them are really imitation of the original, like this one, the one they call it Montpellier. It's iMonopoly from Korg, and it's just a really cool sounding synth. So, and there's another video I talk about it in some of my other videos. So if you want to know more about Korg Gadget, it is for me one of the best DAW to create, to compose, to do your own sounds, and now you can even record in it. So it becomes a full-fledged DAW. I still don't like to record and mix into that one. I do record in it, but I don't mix using this one. I mix using my second best choice for DAW. It is the Auria Pro. Auria Pro is a replacement of Pro Tools for mixing your songs. It's a whole, you know, mixer. You can actually go in and edit the different effects you have. You can edit, you know, I bought FabFilter plugins right into this, and they cost a fraction of the cost you buy them for your computer, and they're the same. You've got Saturn, if you know FabFilter. These are crazy plugins that really sound good. You also have PSP. Let's just go here and show you all the list of the effects you can have. And of course you can also load in and send to the different apps that I have in my iPad, and I can use the other apps as a effect insert, or a receive or send for sound. So It's a really powerful DAW. I don't use it for creation, for music production. I use it for mixing and, you know, just finishing the touch and actually do also the mastering. So for that part, it's super powerful for me in the way I work. So, and then between going from core Gadget to Auria Pro, I use Dropbox. So right away, one of my tools that I use, utility software, is Dropbox, because it's the best way to go between these two apps without any problem. So that's my second one, Auria Pro. Turn that one off. Then you've got Cubase, which is a really cool sequencer also, and a DAW. And then in the last year, they came up with the effects that you can have, and you can actually now have, let's add an effect, wave plugins. And just for that, it's a cool little, you know, I didn't use too much Cubase in the last year because I was using Gadget, but because of their, you know, the waves plugin now that you have in it, I might go back just to actually go and do my mastering using the limiter and stuff like that. So I'm gonna rethink how I put it in my workflow now. So another really cool, especially cool if you have Cubase. In my case, I don't go back to the computer, but if you have Cubase in the computer, that's a really cool way to actually save this and go into the computer. Now, we were talking about earlier, sorry, I'm gonna go back to when we were talking about Gadget. One cool thing about Gadget is if you have a song that you like and you want to finish it, you can actually save it. There's an export section. You can export in Ableton Live project, and then and when you export it, you finish your song into Live. So if you're an Ableton Live user, that's one of the best ways to start your song, have all these ideas. When it's done, you bounce them, they go into Live, and then you use it. Then the top apps that are not DAWs, because they don't give you the full aspect of creating a song, but they're what I call sketch pads or beat boxes, where there's a drum machine, there's at least a synth or two, and you can create section of a song really rapidly. One of the cool release this year was GROOVEBOX from Novation. And GROOVEBOX is a nice little tool where you can actually go and say, okay, I'm going to create a new song, just new song. And this one, you just say, okay, I'm going to have a drum. Right away, you get ideas. Okay, I'm going to take that one. I'm going to add a bass line. Oh, this is fun. Fast, super interesting. Yeah, ideas that jumps right at you using this. It's free. The only thing you want, if you can buy, is more patterns and more banks of sounds you can start with. What's a cool thing about this though is if you say, oh, I like this, you go into the grid and you get the MIDI notes. So you could actually, even if you don't use the final result here, you can actually just borrow the notes. You go, okay, I like the feel that it has. I like the notes that were played, and you can actually do this and re-enter them into your favorite DAW. If you want to export this, we actually can send here project Ableton Live here again. So you can actually export in an Ableton Live project. So that's, again, a cool way to export and send it to something else. Or you can just bounce some of these sections in sound and export them to any other apps you want. Pretty cool. It's a fast and fun way to start a song. Another one that does a little bit of the same thing, which is new this year, is the SKRAM. SKRAM is just a fun thing to play with, and again, it creates really rapidly a song. You've got 4 units playing at the same time. You can mute them each separately, and you start, let's say for the drum, you go play at the top. You want to edit, you switch this little thing here, and you can rapidly, and you can play with the rhythm just by switching patterns of where these are supposed to play. Okay, go through the other one. This one here, again, you can switch a pattern if you want. It's kind of an arpeggiator if you want. Go back to synthesis. Easy to just go and then add another one. So another easy and fast. There's an eject. You can eject and actually load back new sounds. And you can buy more of these sounds if you want. So there's a bunch that comes with it, and the other one are just stuff you can buy for a couple of dollars for this. So it's a fun, easy, really fast way to create music. Exporting wise, you can actually export it to another app, so you copy. And then I could go right into Cubase, copy it here, right into Auria Pro, and continue it. Or you can actually paste it to Audio Copy, and then from there work my way into using somewhere else. What else? The other one I go back often just because I love the feel and the way it plays is the IMS-20. Press start. You've got the arpeggiator, the classic chord arpeggiator, and you've got the synthesizer. You can actually create your own stuff. And I've got a non-stoppable I think I have no release on that sound. I have no release on that sound, that's why. And that's one synth and one drum, because you can have 6 different drum sounds, and each of the drum sounds are a full MS-20 to create that sound. Cut it off. Okay. The noise was basically because the sound I made has no release, so it's always on. Another one like that is the Korg iPolySix, which is pretty cool. You have, again, a beatbox, a drum. Drum is made of 6 different sounds. All of them are made off a full, if you click that one, actually drop it down, you go mixer, sequencer, and you can actually edit each of them separately, or go synth, and you have the synth of, that's the kick. So you can create, with the whole PolySix you create a kick, a snare. So the 6 of them are a full PolySix synth, and then you've got 2 PolySix synth for the 2 bass line and lead, for example. So again, it sounds, well, it sounds good. Do I have here something load? I think I have one. This one. It sounds good. I just like that sound. Just like, Here you go. So another great round, 2 synth, 6 drums. You can't record any sound into this. It's just a synthesizer dream. You create your own sound. And then again, you can export. In this case, you can export to, you just render the sound, the loop, and then use it somewhere else. Audio copy, you just copy paste somewhere else like I usually do. What I like to do with these things is that because they're limited to have like a certain amount of sound for the drum and a certain amount of sound for the lead and the bass, it forced me to think about making a song right away with these limits. And then when it's structured and it feels like it's a song, then I go in the DAW and then I open up to all the other options that I can get. Then we go into the synthesizers, one of my best parts. This year we had the ODYSSEi from ARP, actually from Korg, but the ARP ODYSSEi. This is again a great recreation of the original with the arpeggiator in it. It's a really cool synth. It sounds cool. Either really clear or it can be very nasty also, and very... This is not nasty. So, another great little synth, and it works in Gadget if you want. There's also iMonopoly, which just does the same. For me, this year was a Korg year for the iApps. There's so many cool iApps for music production from Korg. This is the one I just showed you earlier with the inside Gadget that we called Montpellier, and now you have it here. So it's a full-fledged iMonopoly in iPad mode. So this is my 2 new ones for this year. And the 2 next one I really appreciate are the one from Moog. You've got Animoog, or Animoog if you prefer. That's an old one. This one was released probably 5 years ago, but it sounds rich. And you can easily, you can create really lush sounds with them. So you're going to go see leads. Just it sounds good, and it's made by Moog, whatever you want to call it. Another one from them is one of my favorite modular synth on the iPad. It's probably the only one that really does the job correctly. It's called the Model 15. And Model 15 is a recreation of an analog rack mount, or actually analog modular synth from Moog. And then you've got the filter, you've got all these cables. You can actually connect them where you want. And so it's one of the great ways to start, getting interested in modular synth, even if you don't have the cash for full modular synth. This is, under $50. And it sounds good. I mean, even if you don't play any, modular thing, it just sounds good. You just listen to the presets and just the sound themselves, they sound great. And of course, you can go in and modify them, and you can zoom in and see exactly where you are value-wise and zoom out. And there's a cool little, inside it, there's a, what they call a tutorial here somewhere. Manual. The manual itself, you can start the QuickTime guide and open tutorial presets, and it goes around how to use it. And this is also a cool processing unit. You can send your sound from, let's say, Auria Pro into this, process them by all the features that you have in it, and then send it back into Auria Pro as an external processing unit. So pretty cool, pretty fun. It sounds good. So that's for my synthesizers. And one of the, classic one I go back to is just powerful. It's Cassini from Ice Gear Instrument. Cassini is a, I would say, a powerful old school synthesizer where there's all these features. Yeah, oscillator 1, 2, and 3, and all of them have a lot of features. I kind of see it like an hybrid synthesizer where some of the features seems to be mimicking analog stuff, and most of it is just like futuristic or modern, let's say. Most of the other features are modern version of a synthesizers. Every aspect of oscillator 1, 2, and 3, all of them, they have a separate LFO. So you've got a lot of manipulation you can have here. All of them have a separate envelope. And when you go to filter, there's another envelope, filter 1, and there's another LFO just for filter 1. Same thing for filter 2. So it's really powerful. Amp, delay, and there's an arpeggiator that is, again, massively powerful. It kind of looks a little bit, the graphic, they tried, I think, to get inspired by Electron. I never used Electron myself, so I don't know how much it reacts the same way, but I think that at least for the design, the visual aspect, they kind of got some of the inspired from it. And it's it sounds good, it's just and you've got, so you can actually use this. There's global at the end, and there's different ways to use it, how many notes you want to use, and the channel and all that. So pretty powerful, everyday synth, the Cassini. So that's my synth part. Then I go for beat and drum machines. The two I used the most this year were SeekBeats and DM2. There's also MV08 that was fun to play, but I can basically do the same with the other ones. Elastic drums is still one that is cool to play with, but SeekBeats is one of the one I go back. It's very minimal, kind of the interface, but what's cool about it is I love the sounds of it. All of the sounds, go to 1, you've got everything to control it and create the sound you want, You want to change the envelope? You've got envelopes, The second one, then you get my snare. Do I have any snare here? Sequence? No, yeah. Okay. Hi-hat. What's cool about this also is that you can actually go into random. You can randomize the sound. All the sounds. Or just some of them. And you can save this. I like this. You're going to go take snapshot. Okay, take snapshot. All of it. When you go back to recall snapshots, you can, oh, this is my snapshot. And performance, you can record these snapshots and call them back. You have another pattern here. Okay, there's even panning from left to right. So it's really powerful, and you can actually save the session and export audio and then the sound. The export audio, again, is probably one of the easiest way to take these and send it to another one. If you want to play the sound in real time, you can just play. DM2 is, again, pretty powerful. Keep in mind that I like to make my own sound, so all the sound I have here are stuff that I can actually create my own sounds with. Pretty like electronic, cold sounding. It makes me think of some of the stuff you can do with Reactor. Actually, this use pure data, as the engine behind it to create the synthesis. If you want to click on here, you just mute the sounds, solo it, sorry. And if you wanted to go into drums, you get all of these sounds separately. So you can easily go at the sorry. So it's easy to create a rhythm with this. Well, let's go to elastic drums. Also, this one is pretty cool. You can actually, when you play it, you know, you get the graphic. At the top, you've got the graphic here, and when you play, you're placing, you know, the sound you have here. You can load it in memory. You get different sounds here. When you play different sounds, you play these different sounds, you have the information for each of them. So you can create the sound you want here. And when you want to arrange, you can, you know, put different patterns one after the other. So you play in a new pattern, go into this one, and that's going to be my kick. Go for a that's for my line of kick, and that's there. Load another one. And it's another, you know, you can randomize sequence, instrument, and everything. Just like, okay, randomize everything. You know, this is another way to just get, like, I never thought of doing that type of rhythm, but then you get this, like, okay, this is cool, use this. I can copy this, put it into Gadget, and make it a, you know, use it as a building blocks for my songs. So I use this a little bit more like, you know, sketch pads. And then there's tools. The basic tools I have to go back is always AudioShare and AudioBoss. AudioShare is the one I use the most, because actually you can record stuff. If I select this here, I see it, the wave. I can actually go in and edit. I can normalize, you know, if I want it to be normalized. I can trim if I want to trim. I can listen. I can normalize and then take that and put into, let's say, Gadget to do a clip with that. So it's the one I go back the most, AudioShare, because there's this little editing suite in it, so it's just fine for what I do. And the other one that, where is it? Where is it? Here. The one that I actually got lately is TouchOSC. TouchOSC gives me the opportunity to create a surface of control that can control anything. And now you can actually go in. I've got two windows for this one. This one is to control the circuit. This is to control the circuit. I can actually plug it in using MIDI, and I can use this as a interface to control the internal values of the synthesizers. You've got the macros, you got patch, the pitch, and all that. So now it doesn't work because it's not connected, but and this you can actually create your own. You can actually go in and say, okay, done, create my own. It's not on the iPad, you create it on your computer, so you can assign the different knobs you want, the size and what they're sending, and you can send MIDI. So my favorite top apps for music production on the iPad this year are Gadget, #1, Auria Pro, #2, Cubasys, #3. So these are my favorite ones. Now, music inspiration sketchpads, I would say GROOVEBOX, really fast to create stuff that are really interesting from Novation. Then I have my old stuff that I go back to, the IMS-20 and the iPolySix from Korg, really fun, really rapid to play, but more complete in a way. You've got SKRAM, that is really interesting, that came out this year. Free, then you can buy more banks of sound in it. And Beatbox, or drum machine wise, SeekBeats, DM2, Elastic Drums, three that I really prefer the most this year. And to finish, the tools that I use the most, TouchOSC, that is really useful this year, and AudioShare, because you need to be able to transfer files between the different apps, and AudioShare is really the one that I prefer, because you can, while copying, you can also save it in banks, so you can use it somewhere else, and you can also, you know, do some editing on it, trim it, then normalizing it. So these are my best, you know, apps for this year. Now I'm really interested to see what next year will bring us. I guess it's gonna be cool. And that's it for me, guys. If you like what I'm doing, thumb up. If you've got questions, write them down. If you've got other apps that you use that I haven't talked about, I don't know all of them, write them in the comments below. I'll try to test them and see what they do. There's probably other ways to make music than my own, which is normal. So there's other apps out there that really are fun to play with, and some of them I might not even know. So feel free to write about it in the comments. And that's it. Follow me on my Facebook, follow me on my YouTube, and there's also my website, newtrix.com. And I hope you like this. See you soon. Cheers.